Hello and welcome to Politics Today on Channels Television. I'm Sheun Okinbaloye. Well, the issue that we shall be discussing is the crisis rocking the Edo State House of Assembly. Parties in the crisis are exploring all options in making sure their interests are well secured. The crisis began with the 4 PDP lawmakers who were suspended by about 16 members of the House. Since that move, things have begun to fall apart, and then end to that particular crisis seems not to be in sight. In fact, it has led into one form of violence and scuffle or the other. Recently, what we have seen is police intervention, where the governor of the state, Oshiomhole, has also said he knows nothing about the matter. On the program, I will be joined by one of the suspended lawmakers and one of the lawmakers who was part of the suspension of the 4 lawmakers. That is our focus on the program. Welcome to Politics Today on Channels Television. This and many more we shall be talking about. Stay with us after the break. Thank you for staying with us on the program. Just before we get into the mix of things on the program as regarding the Edo State Assembly crisis, well, let's take a look at some of the stories that came during the week. Few days after the result of the Ekiti governorship election was announced and a winner was declared, the winner, Mr. Ayodele Fayose, was handed the certificate of return. The document confirms him as the winner and the governor-elect. Well, Mr. Fayose was presented with a certificate by Professor Lai Olurode and the INEC National Commissioner in charge of the Southwest at the INEC office in Ado-Ekiti. The change of baton to a PDP-led Ekiti State is expected to take place in October this year. Well, let's take a quick look at the past governors of the state. After being led by 2 military administrators since its creation in 1996, Mr. Niyi Adebayo becomes the very first elected governor of Ekiti State and returned to democratic rule in 1999, while Ayo Fayose took over in 2003 after over 3 years. Mr. Fayose was removed while the affairs of the state was chaired by interim head until engineer Segun Oni became governor in 2007. The incumbent Kayode Fayemi got a mandate where Oni was removed, and on the 24th of this month, after about 8 years, Mr. Ayo Fayose defeated Fayemi to return to the government house. Well, Nigerians have continued to talk about the outcome of the election, which has sent jitters to some quarters and raised hopes of in other places. Although Mr. Fayemi concedes defeat, but his party, the APC, says it's not satisfied with the conduct of the polls and will be challenging the results in court. Well, this is what the party said after the meeting which was held in Abuja.
Prevent a recurrence of what happened in Ekiti, especially the over-materialization of the process, the harassment and intimidation of citizens, especially those in opposition. Our party has decided to challenge in court some of these constitutional breaches.
Well, that's the decision of the APC. As that happened, so many people continue to talk about the election, telling their opinions on what went down in the state on the 24th of June. Governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, in Lagos was quoted as saying that the results simply suggest that once you give people money, then this is the way it will happen. It is frightening for me in a democracy when one looks at the way people have behaved 1 week before the election. No one could say Fayemi will lose the election. The worst anyone could say was that the election looked close, where that statement was claimed to have been said by the governor of Lagos. But Mr. Fayose also replied, he said that the governor's comment that Ekiti people were induced with money to vote for the People's Democratic Party is an insult to the entire people of Ekiti State, and we in the PDP will not take lightly anyone insulting Ekiti people under whatever guise. Amidst all the controversy, Well, that's what Mr. Ayofayose replied, Governor Fayose. Well, as that all was happening about the conduct of the election, lots of lessons have been learned from the process. Well, in faraway Kwara State, the People's Democratic Party has still rejoicing with their counterpart in Ekiti State, and with the party's victory in Ekiti State, there are now high hopes for the party and confidence level raised on defeating the APC government in Kwara State. This is what a chieftain of the PDP in Kwara State said after a particular meeting they had in the state.
It's a very wonderful one. Number one, it has shown the supremacy of voters on fairness of the election in the past in this country. And it has shown the credibility of INEC in organizing credible and reliable election in this country. It has also shown the power of voters in Nigeria and a remarkable improvement on what we used to have, especially in 2007. And the election is gradually becoming, free and fair election in this country is becoming stable. So one has confidence in INEC and the electoral process.
Well, that is the hopes of the PDP in Kwara State, that taking a lesson from Ekiti State, they have hopes that they can defeat the APC in the state. Well, we'll continue now and move away from the issues of the Ekiti election and the aftermath. I have with me joining us on the program tonight is a member of the Edo State House of Assembly, Honourable Paul Ohabamo. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, shortly we'll have Honourable Friday Ogieriakhi to join us. He is a PDP lawmaker in Edo State. But let me start with you just before the Honourable Friday joins us. Tell me, what we have seen in Edo State in the past days, what is the genesis of this issue?
Well, I think it boils down to lawlessness on the part of certain persons who believe that they can constitute themselves into strong men against an institution. Persons were suspended from the House of Assembly, and rather than concede to that suspension, they refused, they didn't accede, and a court order on them, they refused to obey. I think it shows lawlessness, and we have to strengthen the institution. When such things happen, you are giving room for anarchy. It just shows you want to subvert peace, and the net effect of that will be expensive in terms of human lives. But we thank God that it has been on. We, the APC lawmakers, have been on the path of justice, looking at the law and how it can help us solve this situation. Because we believe truly that violence or force, might cannot be right here. Force cannot be. We must engage the rule of law. We must protect our polity, and this democracy must be protected and preserved.
All right, I mean, a lot of issue has happened, and all boils down to the suspension of the 4 lawmakers.
Yes.
Why? You were part of the process that saw the suspension of these lawmakers. Why
Yes.
did you suspend them?
Yes, we gave reasons for suspending them because of real misconduct. That, some particulars, we went into some, nitty-gritty of what constitutes misconduct, that most of them were engaged, or virtually all of them were engaged in subterranean activities. And at the appropriate time, when we open the doors, the books of misconduct, you know that the categories of it have no end. But for misconduct, we have the right to suspend any lawmaker. And it behoves on that lawmaker to obey such suspension. So when the speaker pronounces, it behoves until you are recalled. And even when they refuse, we went to court because we cannot take the law into our hands. We went to court, and the court restrained them from going near the precinct of the legislative arm and even the quarters, or interfering with the sitting. But they refused. They jettisoned the court order and took the law into their hands. They even broke into the chambers and sat without authority,
All right.
not minding the law guiding that.
Okay, now, I'll go, sorry to call to you now, but I will allow the other honorable who is a member of the PDP to join us. We take a short break, and when we return, we have a more robust discussion because the two parties involved here are going to be represented. Stay with us on Politics Today. We'll be right back.